Morning, ladies and gentlemen. 606 Garage. Saturday morning. I really didn't do anything at all through the week like I'd hoped to. Still trying to get this arm straightened out. It's been bothering me a little bit, but I feels pretty good today. I went ahead and took some pre-Advil. You know, the old man bottle. All right, so thinking about what we're going to do today. I'm going to drop this rear end. The problem is doing this, there's so much that's got to be done at one time. Rear end comes out. I'm going to take the control arms out. We're going to put the Torx box upper and lowers in. We're going to put the brake lines in. Then we're going to go back with the new control arms. Then we're going to go back with the rear end housing. Get it bolted into place. Then we're going to start working on the brakes. You know, I have to pop rivet the brake line bracket up to the top of the floor, you know, the trunk area. Get that, you know, brake line run to it. But I have to get the seats out. I'm going to take the seats out first. I'm going to go ahead and get to where I can get to the upper and lower Torx boxes, because I'm going to weld them in. It's just a lot to do in a weekend, but I'm going to give it a shot. It's a lot to do in one day, and I might work on it tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see how I feel. I just got to be, you know, pretty careful. And honestly, I might not even have to take the front seats out. I do have a fire blanket, so I can probably just fold the carpet back and lay the fire blanket. I'll probably do that. That'll probably save me at least 30 minutes, maybe longer. But yeah, there's a lot to do today. And now, before I get the rear end back in there, this is crazy. I got to put the exhaust back on it. Then I'm going to put my exhaust hangers on there, and then I'm going to put the tailpipes on there. I got to make sure all that's right, because I want the tailpipes on this car. And once I get the tailpipes hung and everything, I get the brackets in place. They will stay, but yeah, I mean, once I get the exhaust back in place, there's no reason for it to come back out. Oh, excuse me, yes. Let me show you this. What are you doing? Huh? What are you doing, pretty girl? My old girl. Guys, meet Miley. This is a mommy. She's so good. She's so good. Macy. 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 Alright, so I went and got the 5-speed, and I do believe I'm going to take it apart and take a look at it, but I've got a complete rebuild kit for one of these. All new bearing synchronizers. This is like an SN95 transmission, so I've got the shorter input shaft, steel bearing retainer, and I've got the steel thrust plate for the back. I'm not sure if my kit come with billet keys or not. If it didn't, actually I'm gonna go check it out. If it didn't, I will probably go ahead and order those, because I really don't want to just keep taking this thing out and back in. And I hear they make a big difference, so everybody talks about it, so I'm gonna go ahead and probably get some if I don't have some, so I'll check that out next. So I got everything down here for my rear end, backing plates, every piece brand new. The only thing I'm not replacing is the emergency brake cables. They seem to work fine. I've got new drums and stuff for it, but honestly, the drums that's on this car brand new. They must have did a brake job on this car at some point in time recently. So, because I can see the springs and all the hardware looks brand new on it. Let me show you. I mean, it's not like super brand new, but it hasn't been in there very long. So the shoes are actually decent. And I may just take the hardware off this rear end and just use it on my new one, because I ain't gonna use that much back brakes on it anyway. And actually, I mean, that is a risk you take, because I will back these back brakes off so it's got less drag. So that being said, and also I'm going to order some shocks. There's just so much to do, right? So I don't have a key to get in this, but I do have my lock set, and I did go ahead and order some gas struts, because I'm pretty sure they failed. So I got to drill this thing and pop this out. And then I can bolt on my spoiler. I drilled it and set it on there, but it isn't bolted on. I can raise it. I'm gonna raise it up, you know, put my struts on, put my new lock in. Then I can get to my shock nuts. Then we can take them out there. I mean, it's like I said, it's just, this is like a big chain of events, and I got a lot to do, and I've spent so much time taking this thing apart, putting it back together, taking it apart, you know, seeing what little modifications will do. But guys, really, I'm ready to move on to the next project. So, you know, it's not that I'm bored with this car. I want to try to enjoy this car a little bit while I work on something else, because this is my driver, and I'm working on it. That's not, that sucks. So I need to get this car back on the road, at least where I can drive it, you know, as far as 30 or 40 miles away, so I can enjoy any kind of local thing. But yeah, that's where I'm at with it. And let's get started. All right, brake lines are loose. Sway bar is off. Both shocks are loose. Now I cut that rubber brake line over there because I never go back with one of those. Now, obviously I did on this rear end, but whenever I swapped this rear end, I left these hanging. And when I set this housing in here, I slid my axles, you know, I bolted these back on, slid the axles back in here. And I will tell you, by yourself, that is the way to do it. The housing only, that is the way to do it. So, now, to get these springs out, and I've always done this the hard way, until I finally realized that before I would, you know, jack stands under the rear end, then I'd come over here to the jack and I'd let each control arm down and let the springs fall out. When all you gotta do is, once these shocks are unhooked, your brake line's loose, just pick it up with a jack and just let the jack down. They will fall right out. I'll show you. All right, now this might make a fool out of me. But I'm trying to hold this with one hand, but if you just slowly let this down. The spring should just come out. Sorry, let's ease it on down. Well, what is holding this sucker up in there? I probably should have loosened the control arms. Yeah, there's still a lot of, that's what it is. Whenever you set these rear ends in here, you set it level height or ride height, and then you tighten all the bolts. So right now there's a lot of strain on the bushings. I'm gonna jack it back up and just take these loose, and then I will lower it back down, then you'll watch it fall out. Well, I meant to hit record, but I ended up taking the top control arms loose. I let it down, and as you see, they just fell right out. So the top control arms were keeping it in too much of a bind. So anyway, I'm gonna pop them bolts out of the lower control arms. I'm gonna slide this rear end on out. All right, guys, out with the old. Kind of painless. Still tiring though. I will probably just get it up to the edge here, get the tractor and feed up, and sit on some jack stands outside. I know a fella that would probably like to have his rear end, so I will send it on his way. It served its purpose for me. I mean, it was worth the $50 that I gave for it just to see what it would do. And honestly, as far as I'm concerned, this is a 327 is a decent road gear for if you have a C4 transmission or anything that does not have an overdrive. It's a good gear. It's got our brake lines about run for the most part. Give me a little bit of grease here. I am going to set the lower control arms in here, and we can start on the Torx box reinforcements. I will probably do a short video on me doing an upper and a lower. I'm not going to video the whole thing. There's videos out there, but I'll just kind of show you how I do it. So I do things a little different than some people do, as far as how a lot of people don't even weld the plates in inside. Excuse me. I do, and a lot of people tighten down the upper ones till it's like bent it looks like a wave. I don't do that either. I snug it up, then I weld it in place, and then I crank the bolts down, and you'll see it will not budge. And you actually end up with a lot more pressure against that the upper Torx boxes, and I'll show you that. So anyway, let's get these control arms on so we can go ahead and get started on the bottom. Now, these are not BBKs. I don't exactly remember what they was. They're good. You know, they got decent bushings in them, but they're snug fits. So I'm gonna pop this out, put some grease on both sides of it, and slide the bolt through it so I can go ahead and start on my lower Torx box connectors. But basically, whenever I do these, I just basically grease the face of them, and then they've got grease fittings in them. And I mean, get you a nylon dead blow hammer and get ready, because they don't slide in there. All right, now you see how I slid that? That slides just right up in there. You just gotta turn it and stick it in there and flip it. Now, you might have a hard time getting it in there, and if you do, there's a plug, just a floor plug. Just reach in there with your fingers and push it straight up. Now, you just put your nut on here and draw this thing up tight. Drill your 4 holes. What I do is, if I can, I think I drill 3. Yeah, I drill those 3, and then I drill that last one from the top down. And then I slide the bolts up from the bottom. And I think another piece of advice, mark which one that means. Top, driver's side. So when you lay it in there, you'll know exactly how it goes. So, alright, now I'm going to stick this one on the driver's side. Alright, I guess I can show you how to slide it. Now, I'm holding the phone with one hand, so give me a break. But if anything, I'll show you how easy it is. This goes up in there and over to the side. Let me see. Okay, this one's the same way. It's hitting something, and there's a plug. You look up and you see that plug? Just reach up right at your thumb and try to. I may have to get something to push that up in there. That was a little tougher than the other one was. But that plug's what's keeping me from getting it in there. Let me get that pushed up in there. I just grabbed a 1/2-inch drive ratchet and just pushed on it, popped it up in there. Now, back to showing you how easy these are to put in the right way. Just slide them in there, turn him, and twist it. Of course, I push the bolt out. It is easier with 2 hands, I'm going to tell you. So this one, I'm going to have to put a little pressure on this control arm, because the bolt keeps moving. There it goes. Well, I said there it goes, but it is easier when you have both hands. So anyway, that's a start. I'm just gonna reach up in there and hold that bolt, and I'm gonna push it on up in there. All right, so I got him in, drawed up tight. And now I usually don't weld those right there. Maybe you're supposed to, but I don't. But it's in there really tight. I feel like I've got a good opportunity to hit that with a wire wheel and reach in there with a MIG and to sew that up. And I think I'm going to do that on this one. And I'll tell you what, the best thing about it, I can always go back and do that on the rest of them without a whole lot of headache. Let me get the other sides are bolted in the bottom. And I'll be honest with you, the best thing you could do is go get you a long bit, and you could get all 4 from the bottom. So I tell you what, I'm gonna go. I think I'm about gonna call it a day. I put in a decent day today. Air conditioner's on. Put in a decent day today. I'm gonna go home, get cleaned up, relax, and then when I come back tomorrow, I'll be clean and I can start on the seats, and then we'll finish up the top. See you in the morning. So I did go ahead and take the rear seats out of it and peel it. Now see, that's where you're at right there. Same on the other side. So I gotta get all this old sound deadening material up out of here and then prep that, but we'll do that tomorrow. I was just trying to get a jump on tomorrow, and that all came out fairly quickly.